Okay, I'd like just to talk briefly a little bit about Eileen and the grit bin. A lot is being written about the impact of austerity on public services, and some respected commentators are saying that by 2031 demand for adult care will consume most of the council's budget, leaving nothing for things like libraries, street cleaning, refuse collection, roads and buses. At present, through prudent management, the council has protected its services, but there are obviously some tough choices on the horizon. So how can we do more, and how can we increase resources in times of austerity? Well, perhaps it's time to meet Eileen and her friend Bill. Here's Eileen. Eileen is 87. She lives on her own, in her own home, with support from her family and neighbours who lend a hand with gardening, shopping, transport and gritting her path when it gets icy, and here's where the grit bin comes into it. Bill was diagnosed with dementia in 2007. He lives at home with support from his wife Carolyn. He goes to the Forget-Me-Not Centre twice a week, and this gives Carolyn the break she needs to help her to keep going. And why is this important? Well, Bill and Eileen live independently with help from relatives, neighbours and volunteers, and they don't depend upon the council. And it's obvious that most social care, and some say up to 70% of social care, is provided freely in this way at no cost to the state. And this is called social capital. So by increasing social capital, we can reduce demand for public expenditure. But of course, how do we do that? Well, we've already seen examples of social capital at work in Wiltshire. And there are 300 volunteers now trained and working in Wiltshire's libraries, enhancing services and saving over £500,000 every year. We also have 300 volunteers now operating community speed watch schemes, and they are reducing speeds and saving lives all over Wiltshire. And without the volunteers, we could not provide these services, but of course this is only the tip of the iceberg. Communities are leading the way right across the county, and there are some fantastic community-led projects in Wiltshire. There are first responders schemes, job clubs, stroke clubs, sports clubs, local history groups, farmers markets, cooperatives, play groups, arts groups, youth clubs. There are memory cafes, the one like Bill goes to. There are link schemes, car clubs, lorry watch, flood wardens, neighbourhood watch schemes, street pastors, village halls, community choirs and almshouses. And of course there are hundreds and hundreds more. And these are volunteer-led services. And take an example, let's look at one, the Shurston Footpath Group. They look after the paths in the village. They've written a guide, and the local doctor now prescribing the walks for people with high blood pressure. And in Westbury, we have the Crosspoint Centre, which is a voluntary group providing daycare support and advice for the most vulnerable members of the local community. And this really matters, because these voluntary groups raise their own money. They don't rely on public funding. And the things they do, they really work. With support and encouragement, communities can start up and run their own successful projects just like these. And this increases social capital and drives down demand for public resources. But how can we push this further? Well, we're going to look at community building. And we can really help, I think, by helping to link up community groups, bringing people together, sharing information and ideas, and just lending a helping hand. We can showcase some of the great projects so that we can inspire others to give it a go, to try to do it themselves. And we can connect those who currently run successful projects with those who want to start their own. And some people, we've heard Cormac Russell, for example, call this asset-based community development, and this is the approach we think we need to take in Wiltshire. And so it's time, I think, to start reconnecting with the communities. Councillors, parish councils, local groups, partners, we can all make this happen. But I think we really have to reach out beyond our meetings into communities at events, fairs, fetes, schools, shopping centres, places where people actually come together. And there, of course, we can showcase things that will inspire people to get involved. And I think, the time is right. We can get on with that right now. So how are we going to make it happen? Well, we made some savings this year, believe it or not, and we intend to invest that in a pop-up HQ so that we can get out into the community. So next summer we can have a presence at all sorts of events and activities around Wiltshire. And we will work with WFCAP to get resources online to help people create new projects. And we will work with those who have set up inspiring projects and encourage them to help others follow the lead. Things like, of course, this wonderful Bradford-on-Avon Community Agricultural Scheme. And in that way, of course, we will be able to help more people like Eileen and Bill. So this is really all about transforming the way we deliver our services, the way we think about our services. And transforming services is not easy, but it has worked for the libraries, and so it can work for other services. We know that. And we have seen how delegating local highway services improved decisions, has delivered better schemes, and it's levered in extra funds. And I think it's now time to press the accelerator, encourage our frontline services to embrace the change, so that we can help people to do more for their neighbours like Eileen and Bill. Thank you very much.